Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to KP Slit Charts. This is Professor KP Mahapatra. Today we will take up a new area. Previously, we have taken up literary theory and literary criticism. We have also made video on formalism, neo-criticism. From the theory of mimesis, we have started, and we have also discussed what was the kind of controversy which arose between the teacher and the disciple. The teacher was Plato and disciple was Aristotle. When Plato said art is twice removed from reality and banished the poets, creative artists from his republic, at that time Aristotle reacted and responded by saying that I beg to differ. Art can never be twice removed from reality. Rather, it is the manifestation of reality. It is the expression of reality. It is the presentation of reality. It can never be twice removed from reality. So, this is how the controversy was resolved, and we have already discussed neo-criticism, formalism, and how they had tremendous influence in their approach of literary criticism by the critics to different genres of literature. Today we will pick up structuralism. Structuralism as a literary theory. What was the influence of structuralism on literary criticism or in the domain of literary theory? Structuralism was propounded by Ferdinand de Saussure, the Swiss linguist, the eminent renowned linguist of Switzerland. He had written a wonderful book, a very seminal book named Cours de Linguistique Generale, where he has talked about the influence of structure or the impact of structure, the importance of structure, the significance of structure in any work of art. He has talked about things like signifier, signified, lang, parole, and so many other things he had talked about. And he has said language is a system of structures, and language through signification makes the impact and determines the work of art. So it is a kind of theoretical approach through language. According to him, structure is very important. Content is determined by the structure. While going to define lang, he says, lang is the principle which helps a person to form a sentence, because lang talks about the syntax, or it determines the syntax in the sentence structure. And what is parole? Parole is the specific sentence which is constituted in conformity with the principles of lang. For example, we say I play cricket. I is subject, play is verb, and cricket is object. So the formula is subject plus verb plus object, or noun phrase plus verb phrase, NP plus VP. So I is noun phrase and play cricket is verb phrase. So this is what is the syntax, the proper syntax in English language. In other languages, the syntax might vary. So Noam Chomsky, another renowned linguist, he has also talked about the same thing but in a different perspective. He said there are two things. While forming sentence or writing something, one has to depend on two things. One is competence, the other is performance. What is competence? The person must have access to the system of language, to the syntactic pattern of language. Unless he is competent in forming a sentence, he can't show his performance through formation of sentences. So structuralism in fact played a major role in determining the domain of literary theory. As a result, what happened? The structuralists, they continued to prevail upon other literary critics during the 1950s. 1950s, people like Claude Lévi-Strauss, he was an anthropologist, but he had made tremendous contribution to the domain of literary criticism and structuralism in particular. There is another Russian critic, Roman Jakobson. He had made a contribution. There is another critic, Northrop Frye. He has also made contribution to the domain of structuralism. And they say, the structuralists say, while going to appreciate a text, you need not focus on the importance of the author, life history of the author, how or what was the background of the author, what is the credibility of the author. You don't have to bother. You simply forget about the author. You focus on the text. And how do you focus on the text? For example, a structuralist critic is going to analyze a sonnet. Sonnet is a poetic genre or genre of poetry. In a sonnet, he will try to focus on the rhyme scheme, the writing pattern of the sonnet, whether it is divided into two parts, octave and sestet, whether it is divided into four parts, 3 quatrains and 1 couplet like Shakespearean sonnet. Octave and sestet is the formula of Thomas Watt and Earl of Surrey. They brought about sonnet, and Petrarchan sonnet pattern is octave and sestet. Octave comprises 8 lines, sestet comprises 6 lines. After the end of the octave, there is a caesura, and which is followed by a turn in the thought. Caesura is a kind of pause, and it is followed by a turn in the thought, which is called volta. So all these patterns they will try to highlight and they will try to focus. They will also try to see what is the meter, what is the rhythm, what is the word pattern, and whether it fits into the structure or not. So structure is more important for them. And while going to analyze a novel, what does a structuralist do? A structuralist always tries to find out what are the symbols, what are the images, what are the portraits depicted in the novel. For example, let's take the novel of Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby. In The Great Gatsby, you find symbols like the green light, symbols like ashes, ashes. So there you find the green light and the ashes are coordinated, harmonized together to bring about the effect in the text. So the content of the text, the theme of the text, the subject matter of the text has to suit to the pattern of the structure. That is what the structuralists highlighted. And the structuralists say that each word or each concept is connected with the other, and a word cannot be viewed in isolation. In this connection, they talked about the signifier and the signifier. If I ask you, give me a pen, you give me a pen which is roughly say 5 inches long, a writing instrument. So you immediately form the concept in your mind and you bring a pen and give it to me. So pen, the word pen is the signifier, and the matter that you handed over to me, the writing instrument or the object you handed over to me, is the signifier. So they say the signifier and signified are very much related, thickly related to each other. So he says, they say there is a kind of relationship between the structure and the theme. The theme cannot be viewed in isolation, and every work of art, every creative work has a definite structure, and they also emphasize that the structures are universal. They are not separate. They are universal. And they said another thing, that structures also help out people to understand. Say for example, if you say light, how do you know this is light? To know about the essence of light, you have to remember last night. In the night, there was darkness. In the morning, there is light. So this is called binary opposition. Good, evil. Why do you call him good? Because he is not evil. Why do you call honesty as a virtue? Because He is not a fraud, or he is not a liar. He is honest, he is truthful. That's why he is good. Liar is bad, or liar is evil. So honesty is a virtue, dishonesty is a vice. How do you know this is honesty? Because you have seen dishonesty with somebody. Somebody has cheated you. Somebody has told you something which is wrong, and you come across another person who is telling you the right thing. So you could distinguish between wrong and right, nature and culture, light and dark, good and evil, virtue and vice. These are the binary oppositions. So the structuralists put emphasis on binary oppositions, and the binary oppositions brought about what? The meaning of the word clearly to the mind of the reader or to the mind of the perceiver. So they talked about narratology also. They wanted to see what is the kind of narration that the novel is making, what kind of narratology skill is being utilized by the novelist. So that they have to find out, and they never talk about the author. They always focus on the structure of the art, work of art, or the creative art, or the literary work. They talk about the structure, and they give preference to structure over the author. Author for them is not important, but the structure is important, and from the structure they bring out the essence of the content and the essence of the work of art, or the creative work, or the literary work. So they always talk about the structure, and they say that the structures are universal. In any genre, the structure is universal. You can't say that the structure used to vary. No, structure will never vary. Structure will always be universal, and without a structure, there cannot be a literary work. That is what the structuralists used to believe, and in a way they are very much justified, and they say that language is a system of science and it is a signification, and the elements of these significations are understandable only in relation to each other. So the elements of this signification or signifier or signified, they are understandable only in relation to each other. Say for example, I gave you the example of pen. You gave me the pen. So what is the relation? The relation is between the signifier and the signified. Pen is the name or the word, and the object is the writing instrument that you are handing over to me. So there is a relation between the signifier and the signified. So the signification has certain elements which are related to each other, interrelated to each other, and they make the meaning clear before the reader. So anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss, Roman Jakobson, Russian critic, and Northrop Frye, they all contributed to the domain of structuralism, and structuralism became a very very important literary theory of the 1950s, and the major contribution was made by Ferdinand de Saussure, who talked about, as I told you, signifier and signified. There has to be a signifier which will signify something, and that is being described. And while going to appreciate a novel or a drama, say for example a drama, in a drama the structuralist will find out what kind of structure is there, what kind of plot is there, what kind of characterization is there, what kind of dialogues are there. So without plot, character and dialogue, the situation cannot come to the fore. Say for example Shakespeare's Hamlet. In Shakespeare's Hamlet, the structuralist critic will try to find out what is the plot. The plot is a kind of indecisiveness and inordinate delay, and the plot is the murder of King Hamlet, and the plot is Prince Hamlet's efforts to take revenge against the murderer of his father Claudius. Characterization. What kind of characterization is there? Hamlet, Prince Hamlet is an indecisive character. He has been portrayed as an indecisive character. He has been shown having feigned madness in order to take revenge, but in the process he is making delay. Then comes the dialogue. What kind of dialogue is incorporated? Brilliant dialogues are incorporated. It is because of the structure, it is part of the structure also. Now, Hamlet says to be or not to be, that is the question. Hamlet also says, time is out of joint, O cursed spite that ever I was born to set it right. Hamlet also says, frailty thy name is human. And in the graveyard scene, he says, I loved Ophelia more than 40,000 brothers. And the same Hamlet, while resisting the amorous advances of Ophelia, he says, get thee to a nunnery, tries to insult Ophelia by saying that, get thee to a nunnery, because at that time he has developed a kind of hatred, a kind of suspicion towards the chastity of women, towards the loyalty of women. So that's why he said, get thee to a nunnery. So this is how the plot, characterization, dialogue and atmosphere. Atmosphere is obviously 16th century England. So these are important for a structuralist, and the structuralist takes note of all these things while making a structuralist approach to a particular literary work. Thank you very much. Before going, you should never forget to like, share and wait for the next video. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Jai Jagannath.